again, I'd probably take somebody with real life work experience if they could do the job over a degree any day. And that is just simply the way I know it works.
Today, we have a very special guest joining us, Melode Smelko, CEO of Altrua Global Solutions. Melode, we're so glad to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, as Brittany would say, let's get into it.
Right.
So you're an alumni of Lively, is that correct?
I am, and I'm not going to tell you the year. So,
So can you share your journey with Lively College and the impact that it's had on your career?
Well, it gave me an opportunity to really get out of high school early and really start my career path at that point. Lively, what I took at Lively was a executive secretarial science class, one of the best English classes I ever had. I ended up at the end of it typing 105 words a minute, and come to find out that's the best thing you can do. Nobody can figure out how do you type so fast on your phone or on your laptop or whatever. So it's a skill that I'm still using today.
Awesome. So you took business here. So what skill set did you, besides typing, take from your experience at Lively to your career now?
Well, it gave you a whole different aspect of what, like a business letter, all of the aspects, accounting, some of the accounting. And for me, we've actually hired folks that have got a graduate degree, MBA, and they didn't know what a purchase order was. They didn't know what how do you actually write a business letter? And I'm thinking we're missing some of the basics here. Because you're not going to come in and run a company, you're going to come in and do some of the basics. So I think that's what Lively was for me. It was a very hands-on, practical world. It's you're not going in there. Again, we're a fairly small company in the respect, but you're not going over there. I don't care what company it is to run the company. You're going in there to learn, and you need to have the basic skills.
So you were a dual enrolled, I'm assuming,
yes.
when you were a student at Lively, and you went to
Leon.
Go Lions. So you dual enrolled, and we still have that dual enrollment program now. Obviously, we have changed some of our programs around, and we no longer have the one that you were a part of. But once you finished Lively and then you started your college path to FSU, how did that help prepare you for that next step?
Well, I think from one aspect is I knew you had to jump through some hoops to get there. It's, you really, the testing, and also the just making sure you're registering right. I know I worked, and I think it's a really good thing for kids. I worked part-time going to college, through college, full-time when I got my graduate degree. But I think that work basis is so important. But it really prepared me to go into, like I said, writing papers, to going into my major. The writing aspect was a big part of it.
Wonderful. So what inspired you to join and later lead Altrua?
Well, it it was probably not something I had in my plans at the time. I was finished school here. Got a great job working with the Florida seafood industry over in Jacksonville, traveling a lot, doing some media and promotions. I actually wrote an article for the Florida Times Union every Thursday in their food section. Great job. And I decided if I was, I was taking 2 classes a semester at UNF to get my graduate degree. I ended up thinking I needed to make some changes because I knew there were some changes politically happening with those positions there. And I thought, well, if I don't go ahead and finish my, graduate degree, I'll never come back and get it. So I had an opportunity at a couple different seafood companies, one Gorton Seafood and one in Red Lobster in Orlando. And I thought, well, they'll be there when I get back. They'll be there when I finish. So let me go ahead and finish this. Well, come to find out, none of those jobs were there. And my dad had started this business. It had been going on probably about 10 years, but it kind of off and on, really. And it just started growing. And I thought, when I left Tallahassee, I said, I'll never be back to Tallahassee. I will never work for our family business. And God had the last laugh on me on that one. And it's been like now, next week will be 35 years. So, and I think that path has been the best path. I'm glad I didn't go on my own. I'm glad I kind of had the guidance of where I needed to go. And it's been a challenge. I can tell you it's been a challenge. I'm working with my daughter, and she's 24 and she knows it all. So I'm getting back everything I ever gave out. So, but I can tell you that the family business and getting a skill level and knowing how to work with people is so important. And I do believe that's part of what Lively, your skill set. And it's not just what you're learning in a book, it's your skill set.
Mm-hmm. I 100 believe that. How did your early training at Altrua with your father help you become a better leader?
I think I made all the mistakes he made, but he would, at that time, again, it's been a while ago. I started at Altrua in 1990, March of 1990. And he would be over my shoulder when I was on the phone with a client. At that time, it wasn't a lot of computers. They were just getting into the workforce and asking me, you get their phone number. And invariably, I'd get off there and I wouldn't have their phone number and it was one of those things that I've learned that you need the intensity, but you also have to give people a little bit of time and a little bit of space there. But, and I also learned that he always taught me, I would always be task oriented. Let's get this done. I've got 15 projects I got to go over with you. We got to get this done. But if somebody walked in his office, he was a people person. That person is what mattered. And I have learned that over the years. That is the best, probably one of the best things I've learned from my parents, my dad especially, is when people are what counts,
Mm-hmm.
And you can get that project done. And, being a Christian, I think that it doesn't matter what your, God really doesn't care what your to-do list is. He cares about that person. So I think I've tried to incorporate that. And when people come in my office, our team or even clients or just somebody that's interviewing with us, I try to take the time I need to take with them. And I was not that person when I was when my father taught me that. He taught me a very valuable lesson there. And unfortunately, we lost him about 15 years ago now. And that was a tough time. That was a very tough time. He had everything up in the, this was his third business he'd started. He had everything in his mind, not a lot on paper. And so that was one of the challenges. Fortunately, my husband had came to work for us about 5 years before that, and he was able to handle the financial, the banking.
Mm-hmm.
I was a salesperson. I don't really care for accountants and bankers. No, I'm not going to say that. You can take that one out. But I mean, if you give me a group of bankers or a group of our clients, I'll definitely deal with the clients first. But it's one of those things that there was a balance there. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a balance. And it was something I believe God set up for us and that relationship. And again, if you had told me when I was going to Lively or even when I finished FSU, I would be in Tallahassee working with not only my mother, my dad, and my husband, I would have screamed and said, there's no way I'm running.
Right.
But it turned out for the best. And the business has grown and grown and grown. And we have people that have been with us 25 years or so. And we've built that business together. I'm an only child, but I really have brothers and sisters. We're a family business. We really are a family business. And a lot of times it's not just our family. It's our VP of operations. Two of his cousins work for us. And I really believe a work ethic comes within a family. I think that's where you get your work ethic. I really do.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I agree. So how has Altrua Global Solutions engaged with Lively students or alumni?
Well, we have actually had a couple folks work with us over the years from Lively, and they have been very hands-on. We've enjoyed working with them. They've really been a key to learning I don't know what I'm going off. I'm going off on this one anyway. They have actually been very good to work with, and they have been very intense on their training.
So, if you had to maybe summarize some of the skill sets that a Lively student had, maybe different from someone who came from a university or whatever, have you seen a pattern of maybe work ethic or differences in those type of students?
I do. I see that at Lively, you have a student who may not have, who may be working a harder way around to get their education, and they have had to do more than they have had to actually just read about it. They've been doing it versus reading about it. And I think that's one thing that our education system, and it's getting better. It's getting better. And that's why we take interns. We take interns from FSU, FAMU, our new TSC, and we take interns from you guys too, because I think that makes the education process so much more enlightening for those. And it helps there for future employment, because if you have learned, in fact, we have 2 interns that are full-time with us now, that work full-time with us. Wow. So, and I always think that's a good opportunity. And most of the time, if they have moved, is they wanted to move out of Tallahassee, or they went back home, is why they don't stay with us. So, but I think that's a great time to use the interns and the people that come from Lively. The couple people we've had from Lively, they again were, I don't know if I want to say humble. They didn't have, I'm coming in to run the company attitude. They had, show me what you're doing, They were interested in the business versus just what it could provide them. So I think in the history, a lot of people, not everybody asks about the history. How did this business grow? I mean, 45 years, it's over 45 years now. So, it's been, I think that's always a history, and coming into 3rd generation. My daughter actually works with us, and probably my other one's going to come in, but then I have to leave. We can't have 3 Smelko women in that business at one time. We won't have any staff left. But anyway.
So during your career, how have you seen the importance of technical skills evolve in your business specifically?
Well, first of all, my dad had he was a NASA engineer by trade, and but he decided he wanted to go into business for himself. Had one of the first molding companies for magnetic signs it was down in Central Florida near Orlando. And from that business, it evolved coming up to Tallahassee because it was closer to where he was. He was raised in Mariana, so it was closer to that area. But he was always highly involved in whatever the latest technology, whether it was a plain paper fax or whatever. When we brought printers, we do dual capacity. We would have 2 printers at a time, which always I'm like, wait a second, that's an expensive printer. Do we really need 2 of them? But it has made sense for us. And it's given us, I know that our clients that are in California or Boston, they really don't care that your printer's down. They care about getting their signage for their McDonald's. So I think for us, we realized that even in a hurricane, they don't really care either on that one. You still have to get the work out, and we have been able to. We've had to shut down a couple of days, but we'll come in and have a little bit of overtime, and we'll get the job done. So fortunately, we haven't been hit by any major hurricane in Tallahassee, but it's been that particular part of it, and being able to be very agile has been something that we've learned, especially after the pandemic.
So, and that leads me to the next question of, you said 45 years that your company has been in Tallahassee and growing. What changes have you seen, or have you had to adapt with new technologies based on what you do at Altrua?
Well, if you don't embrace the technology, you're going to be left behind. Faster. Every 5 years, our printers, all the digital printers, all the technology gets better and better. The 3D printing. Right now, we're going through a whole system of our overhaul on our printing software, as well as upgrading to NetSuite and some other software in our accounting. And it's the process. But we've also, it's been time. We were about to do it in 2020, and then everything happened. So we put it off, regrouped, and we said, it's time. It's time and it'll give us the ability to grow even more with, I won't say just less people, but it's a lot more efficient on how we're doing our business.
Wonderful. And for the audience who's going to be watching this podcast, I know what Altrua is. Will you tell us a little bit about what Altrua does?
Sure.
I know it's not just Tallahassee. So will you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Years ago, my father had a vision of working with national chains. And we started out with one chain. If you go down the fast food aisle, we've probably worked with every chain eventually in that, from Bojangles to Popeyes to all of them. But we've been a national supplier for McDonald's across the country for about since 1991. So,
and you're a supplier of
signage. If you go into a McDonald's, you see a window poster that says 2 filet of fish for $5, which is running right now for Lent. That's the type of things that we do. They have about 5 suppliers that do what we do in different parts of the country, and we do a lot of the East Coast. Now we did a big promotion in California too, but we do a lot of the East Coast and a little bit of Midwest. So they are very good about, you get one supplier and they really make sure that you and you make sure your loyalty's there. So they are very good about treating you good, and you have to earn their business every single day.
Mm-hmm. And I know that I have personally got to tour your facility, and you're kind of like a hidden secret for some of the locals. And I've had the pleasure of actually touring your facility, and the graphic capability is just unbelievable. What would you say is your, obviously McDonald's is a huge partner with you, but what would you say is the secret sauce, if you will, of Altrua?
Our people in the heart of Altrua. We are altruistic. The name was given to my parents, a God-given name, altruistic, and I think given back. And I just believe it's the golden rule there, and I believe we give into our people. And if you don't take care of your people, that's what really counts as your people. They will take care of you. We have such a good team there, and they take care of each other. It's a very strong company in the respect of backing each other up. And if we have a shipment to go out, we might have our graphic artist back there helping with the shipment if it's, overwhelming. So generally we don't anymore, but we used to. It'd be everybody back in the back to ship out 5,000 packages. So, and you answer the phone, Mel, you don't need to come to shipping. We don't want you back there,
Right. As a leader, do you offer skill development for your team?
We actually have an education program that they can go. We also invest in them going up to learning on the equipment we have. So we buy a new piece of equipment. They might go up to, one of them's from Boston, the other one's from actually Germany. But they'll train on that piece of equipment. And actually, to be honest with you, one of our suppliers on our printers, one of the printers, they keep taking our people. They keep taking our people. They're so good. I'm thinking, if you take another employee, we're not buying another printer from you guys. So, but our guys are very self-sufficient on trying to make sure, guys and ladies, make sure that the job gets done. And so, yes, it can be done philosophy, and that's not just on a back of a catalog. We try to live it. We really do.
And that is the reputation that you have had, in my experience. So as a workforce provider and a company of your size, hiring in our local community, and you being a part of our community since the beginning, can you tell me a little about where you see Lively and how it fits into our workforce here in Tallahassee and the Big Bend?
I really think the technical skills, again, some of the technical skills, like we were talking about graphics, talking about some of the machinery. So I think those technical skills are key to what we do, for sure. Even the accounting skills, again, I'd probably take somebody with real life work experience, if they could do the job, over a degree any day. And that is just simply the way I know it works. One of our key people, she is as smart and knows every part of that business, but she had a 2-year degree. But that didn't matter. It doesn't matter. She was a home builder too. So, it really is the person and what your motivation is. I mean, you can go to school for years and years and still not know, or you may know things, but you don't have it as a passion for it. So I think that's what takes it.
So I'm also hearing that the hands-on, that you really feel like if you work it, then you know it.
Yeah.
I agree. what if you had to talk to our Lively students, where this will be broadcasted to them as well, what would you say is traits and attributes that they need to have to be successful?
Come into a company or a business or an opportunity with curiosity, learn, find out what they're about. And there's not a person in the world that doesn't want to talk about themselves and find out what they're about. I think that's a key just in general for everybody to be able to just connect with people. Also think that a wee bit of humility. Don't bring your cell phone everywhere you go. I mean, we've had to adapt to that. I think my dad, I'm glad he hasn't been in the cell phone era with everybody. We've had to kind of adapt because people have to have their cell phones out. We even use cell phones to proof things, but we've had to adapt to that. But yeah, be courteous and be interested. Be interested, genuinely interested in that business or that person or what that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. We're getting a little close, but to the end. But I have a couple of more questions that I would like to ask. As the vice chair of the Big Bend Manufacturing Association, how do you advocate for workforce training in manufacturing?
Well, Tallahassee's not ever been known as a great big manufacturing area, and we need to. We need to, but there's a lot of high tech here. And I think that would be one area that Lively could touch into with some of the more technical high tech areas. And I also think that for us, some of the machinery. I mean, we need folks working on our machines, working on our printers. So a lot of that training.
That's good. We'll talk more about that, because I definitely think that the job of Lively is to find employees for our workforce in Tallahassee. And across the board, we want to make sure that if there's a need, that we help find that and fix that for you. Looking back at your career, is there a piece of advice or mantra that has guided your success that you would like to portray to our audience today?
First of all, I'm a Christian. I trust God. Just trust God. Number one, don't try to do it yourself. And humility. I think going in and being humble about what's going on and knowing that you don't have to do it all. You're not going to do it all. Don't show me how smart you are. Let me find out what you're interested in, how you're interested. Be passionate about what you're doing. Don't just have a job. Be passionate about what you're doing. We have our team. You'll hear them in there one day, and I'm thinking they're fighting with each other. No, they're arguing their point about how to do something, and that always happens when we do a software changeover, which is, oh my goodness. Sometimes I have to just shut the door, and I don't want to hear it. It's like having kids, but the passion, you cannot light a fire and get that out of people. It has to come from them, and they have to be interested, and they have to be. And I believe that you can also foster it by letting them have a part of everything, letting them have the decision making. And we are very much I wouldn't say a team decision, but we get together. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? We used to get in meetings. Now we do emails. Tell me what you think on this flyer. Tell me what you think on this project. Even quoting. So I think that has been a key to our business too.
That's wonderful. How can Lively help contribute to your future vision and your future workforce?
Once again, training the folks, maybe having job fairs, interns. We are very intern friendly. In fact, we have one from FSU right now. So I think that is one of the parts of it, and just keeping open with the business community. Growing up, growing up here in Tallahassee, I didn't feel a big business community here. I moved to Jacksonville, and it was a whole different environment. But I feel a difference in Tallahassee, and I think it's obviously because we have a business here too. But I see a much broader opening for companies coming in here.
I agree. I would agree with that. So if there is a student in high school or a mom or dad watching this podcast, and their student is undecided as to what they're going to do, or, they're looking at all the career path options, tell me what you would say to them as to why Lively is one of the many great choices that you can make.
you'll get life skills here. You'll get skills that you definitely won't necessarily get if you go straight to a 4-year college. I think the life skills are very important. My one daughter went to community college, and she went to some training in diving. Actually, she's not a diver; she's a finance, got out of finance. But anyway, that training gave her a background of what she was passionate about, and I still think you have to be passionate about it. You have to make your decisions. This is what I want to do all my life. And is this a hobby or is this a career? But I really believe that you have to be passionate and just try it out. I think I think they need to do more training in high school. And I think they are. I think there's a big push with the WOW and World of Works for kids to ask. And we had we always participate in that, tons of great questions at the World of Works from high schoolers. And we've had one of them come out and visit with us, him and his mom. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, yeah.
We so appreciate your time today. And we know that you're a very busy woman and you have such an amazing company. And it transcends who you are, who your father was, and hopefully your daughters will be. Is there anything you would like to leave us with or the audience today before we say goodbye?
I just appreciate the opportunity. And also, every day is a building on your career every single day. So it may be a day that you think you're not doing too much, you're not getting too much done. I signed an insurance form today and I said, okay, I really accomplished something today. Anyway, because I couldn't find it anyway, but I think you're building. Each day is a 24-hour building process. So, Lively was my foundation in many ways. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. You came a long way from a Leon student to Lively to now being the CEO. We just so appreciate you, and we thank you for your partnership.
Thank you.
With Lively. Thank you so much for joining us. Tune in next time.